Magnani just missed it as it came in. And the header to the far post. Caputo's there! Francesco Caputo surely wins the match for Sassuolo.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano, Gianni Dellacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The intro song is Fireworks by Jazar. Two pretty crazy match days in the Serie. Back on the Calcio Guys with Adreano Donardo, Gianni Dellacoli. I'm Nicholas Di Giovanni. We're trying things a bit differently this week. We are recording our call right now. We're going to save that if we have anything funny that happens between us, because we are passionate guys. We are passionate guys.
Yes, sir.
We like to talk with our hands and all that, and we've been missing these visual clips that we're going to put on our social medias. Everything good between you two?
Absolutely. I couldn't be happier. Lots of Calcio to talk about, lots of exciting games to talk about, and I can't wait to get into it.
Everything is fantastic.
I have, so I know it's the middle of July, but I have a quiz for you guys.
Oh, shit.
And I'm sorry I didn't announce it earlier in last week's class. I know I didn't give you guys time to study, but it's a quiz. First question: who has more goals this season, Atalanta or Spal, Brescia, and Lecce combined?
Atalanta.
I'm going to go 93. No, it has to be them.
No,
X.
That's wrong.
He puts up the big X.
So Atalanta has 93 goals.
Yeah.
And Spal, Brescia, and Lecce
they're
have
3 away from breaking the record. Oh my god.
Yeah, they have 94 goals. The three relegation teams.
Get out of here.
So
wow.
Caught us off guard. Okay, we're failing the test.
It was almost when I thought of that question today. Lecce, they scored a late goal against Sampdoria. Fiorentina. They scored a late goal, so they officially passed Atalanta. And then the other question I want to ask you guys: in a single match day this season, do you know what the record is for most games that finished tied?
I'm gonna go
5?
with 4.
Gianni was right. It was 5, and that's exactly what happened. Match
yeah,
day
but you wrote
32.
it. You wrote it as part of the notes.
Yo,
So
it shows I didn't look. It shows I didn't look.
You studied.
Of course.
So there were 5 draws in match day 32. A couple of times there were 4 draws: match day 9, match day 14 and 15, and match day 21. So it was kind of weird to see Atalanta, Juve. They were one of the teams that drew. Milan's been hot. Another big win today. They were another team that drew on the weekend. We'll start off with that, actually. Let's start off with Milan-Napoli, since that's your guys' teams. And, 2-2, pretty even between two teams that have been even all season. What did you guys make of it?
Adrian, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could have been a bit more. Obviously, the tie I'll speak on the Milan side of things. I think, a point was okay. It wasn't the worst result, that they could have gotten. The loss would have really dampened things. But obviously, we were hoping for the win. I think Napoli probably was, the dominant side in the game, if I can recall, possession-wise, and just, created chances and stuff like that. But I don't know. I still think there could have been more in the game. Like I said, obviously. Now both fullbacks got into the action with Theo Hernandez and Di Lorenzo on the other end, and the goals that were conceded were just unlucky. I personally think unlucky bounces. I think if Conte doesn't take out Koulibaly to set up that free kick, maybe that Di Lorenzo goal doesn't happen. Maybe Napoli doesn't score at that time. So, just being, mentally sound and just, being able to be smart on the pitch. I think, lacked a bit for Milan. The defensive errors on the Napoli goals were bad as well. So I think, call it as you will. I guess the draw maybe was merited, but I still think there could have been a bit more on each side.
I honestly think that AG was right. The Napoli was the better team, but what worries me about that is that they were the better team, but did not get the win. A draw is good enough because it kind of keeps Milan at bay, but you're in a very dangerous position right now because you want to keep in a competitive spot, but you can easily lose it to Milan, who are on your heels, and you also want to try to not have any conflicts with Roma. So and they didn't they brought their best squad. It wasn't as if today's game, for example, was their B team. As you if you saw the lineup, that game was their A team, and it's not nice to see that your A team not do more or get you the results that you want. So I'm just being nitpicky right now about that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to discredit AC. They played well and they've been playing very well as of late too. So the fact that we got away with a draw, well, mind you, not a get away with a draw, but the fact that there was a draw, I should not complain about it.
Rebic with the turn to pick the pass for Hernandez, who thrashes Milan in front. In from Insigne, looking for a touch, which arrives from Di Lorenzo. Fullbacks exchanging goals.
There you have it. Fullbacks exchanging goals. Two of the hottest fullbacks in the league this year, Di Lorenzo, Hernandez. I think the real winners of that game were Roma, because now Roma is 4 points up on Milan and Napoli. This is after, obviously, Matchday 33. So Roma's at 57, Napoli 53, Milan 53, and then Sassuolo back at 47. So Roma has to be the real winners. 3-0 win against Brescia on the weekend. Zaniolo first goal back. Yeah, pretty easy. Brescia is just awful. That team, I've never seen a relegation team play so bad. And I've seen Pescara play in the Serie A, and Brescia is just awful. And then they won today. It was 2-1 against Verona. Starting to pick things up again. We talked to Enzo last week. Last week it was everything's going bad for Roma. Now it's everything's going right. But that's Calcio for you.
That's what happens when you play every other day also, so there's match days going on and then it ends, another match day starts. So a lot can change, as we've seen in a short amount of time, with this final stretch of the season.
You're not playing against the top tier teams. Verona is a team you shouldn't underestimate because they have shown that there's times that they can catch you by surprise. And I'm still in agreement that it's not a good season for Roma. And that, sure, they won these games, but these are games that they should have won anyway, so this is to be expected. Zaniolo coming back, though, and getting his goals is very nice to see. That's a very big positive. It's a guy it's a player that Roma has missed. And I just hope that, Pallotta has some sense to build around this kid, which we've said many times before, but until Pallotta leaves or until the team has any kind of direction, I'm not too keen on anything. I'll get excited when they win, sure, and I'll be happy with results. But at the end of the day, even if we were to make it to the Champions League, we're gonna get embarrassed.
So we're gonna talk Lazio with Shawn McIntosh after our second guest from Las Vegas this season.
Oh wow!
Lazio in shambles, pretty much. Lost to Sassuolo on the weekend. I just tied Udinese today. So we're gonna talk about Lazio with him, but Juve Atalanta, which is right now the 1-2 in the league, they played on the weekend, and there was one big talking point.
Controversial, debatable, certainly. The handball rule causing all sorts of confusion, but Cristiano Ronaldo makes it 2-2 in the 90th minute.
The Serie commentator Steve Banyard says it perfectly. The handball rule causing all kinds of confusion. One thing I gotta say about this: Juve's had a lot of handballs against them. Nobody bats an eye. The moment it goes for them, it's all of Calcio Twitter is gonna bring it up. Oh, this rule, that rule, whatever. I'm going to join in on the conversation here because it is a big talking point. Obviously, new handball rule this season. We haven't talked about it too much, so we're not a broken record here. What do you guys think of it? It's been really tough, especially since the break. They've been really strict on the rule. What do you guys make of it? Well, let's start with Gianni this time.
There's too much ambiguity on the rule. I think it was Jan, our friend over there, that came up with a good point that Serie wants to create more goals, and rules like this causes that to happen. The only thing that's just frustrating about it is that you can either reward a bad team with a penalty to come back into the game, or punish a team that's playing well that they have to get a penalty conceded against them. So I think there needs to be some kind of clarity. There needs to be some kind of it's never going to be black and white. Handball will never be purely black and white, but there needs to be so many guidelines of like, okay, subsection A, it's handball if this. Subsection B, it's not handball if this.
It's like writing code.
Yeah, but seriously, have like rule 1AA, 1AB, 1A. That's my opinion on the matter.
Yeah, I think obviously there's a fine line with these rules. Obviously, we've seen different changes in the rule over these past years, and like many people know, you're not going to please everybody. Unfortunately, yep. It's a hard thing to do, but just it's just so unfortunate that there are some cases in games where it's like, really, that's a handball, or oh, really, that was a handball, it wasn't given. So again, there's too much debate around it. It just, I don't know what you're going to change to make it better. It seems like the changes that we have been making in the league seems to be more for the worse. Obviously, okay, yeah, call it as you will. You're going to get more goals maybe out of it, but at the same time, it's just too like crazy that as soon as it touches your arm in any sort of fashion, it's straight to a handball, straight to a penalty shot, and a yellow card on top of it for these players. So obviously, then there's the look at is there intent, but then that's kind of a gray zone. So there's a lot of factors, I think, into the rule as a whole, and not just only the handball rule, many other rules as well. So again, I think it's tough to really pinpoint, okay, what are you gonna do to make it better? I just think that if they can come up with some sort of, common ground where there is no gray zone and it is a bit more black and white, maybe, fans could be at ease, but I think that's, it seems to be a long time coming for that to happen. So, I mean, we hope and pray, but, we'll see what happens.
Honestly, I don't mind the rule because the city has been really consistent with it, especially since the restart. With video review, you could slow down frame by frame, and when you have a call that's up to debate on video review, you want it to be as black and white as possible. You want it to be as clear cut as possible, because you can't have these subjective calls on video review. You see it in the NHL with goal interference. It's a mess because goal interference, intent, this and that. In my opinion, if they just write the rule as simple as this: does the ball strike the hand when the hand is not attached to the body, and that's a handball, and the players know it, the fans know it, and it's as simple as that, hey, I don't have a problem. But if you're going to do that, there's going to be a lot more penalties, and what I would like to see is the penalty spot move back to the top of the 18, so that it gives goalies a better chance, and it doesn't allow these type of plays to decide a game, because obviously, 12 yards out, it's not easy to score. It's still, it's still a challenge, but most of the time the players are going to score if you put it back. It's like a penalty shot in hockey. It's not a guaranteed goal. That's maybe something I'd like to see. Let's stick with Atalanta. They played the local derby against Brescia, and they absolutely just took care of their rivals.
Zapata, Gosens goes again, and chance here. What a finish too from Derone. That was quite superb. Madanovsky. It's opened up for a shot for him. Oh, what about it? What about it from Madanovsky? That sensational left foot delivers once again.
Just have to look at the back four from Brescia. They're just dropping deeper and deeper, allowing space.
There's goal number 6, and it's tucked away to complete a hat-trick for Mario Pashovic. And what an evening he's having.
So, Atalanta, 93 goals this season. It's the 8th time they've scored 4 or more in a game, 5th time 5 or more, and 3rd time they've scored 6 or more goals. Champions League draw came out last Friday, and Atalanta gets PSG. PSG, a team with Neymar, Mbappe, and all these stars, Cavani, all these stars, money loaded team.
We're licking our chops at that matchup.
Yeah. And PSG, they haven't played a competitive match since March. They've been back in trading. They're playing exhibition games now. But,
they're going to get embarrassed.
I'm not going to go out and say I don't see a PSG, I don't see them winning this game. I'm not going to say it's an easy game for Atalanta. It's going to be a challenge. It's PSG. They have elite players. But, when it comes to PSG not having played since March and Atalanta at the height of their game right now, they have a huge advantage, and PSG has to be shaking in their pants.
Oh, absolutely. I think on top, some people were saying like, oh my God, Atalanta got PSG in the draws, and we're worried, this and that. Listen, this is a team with their guns blazing, like Nick said, and they got a swagger to them that not many teams can match. And again, like Nick said, they haven't PSG haven't played since March. They're playing friendly games in front of a couple of fans in France, kicking around the ball, making it look pretty, whatever. I'm telling you, Atalanta, watch out for Atalanta. This team, they have no fear. That's the thing to them. They go into games, they have no fear. If they're playing bottom of the table Brescia, or they're playing in the Champions League, getting on to the next round, whoever they face in Champions League, they go there with no fear. And I think that's the right mentality to have. We've said time and time again, Gasparini's system has been working wonders. I just think, PSG, they should, take a good look at themselves before, taking Atalanta lightly, because they're going to steamroll them if not.
I don't think they're going to take Atalanta lightly, to be honest.
No,
but just wait, just in case they do. They heard it here first on the Calcio Guys that Atalanta's coming.
Was it last year that PSG got eliminated by Manchester United? Yeah, and Manchester United only had 2 starters on their team when they eliminated PSG. Yeah. I feel like PSG has the same issue that we discuss with friends all the time, and all that stuff, that they play in a league that they're not tested in. And especially now that the French league is like, we're not going to reopen again for competitive play. Sure, they might play some exhibition games here and there, but they're playing with a skill level that's really beneath them. So when they get up against a team like Atalanta, they're going to get surprised. I honestly think PSG is not the monster as people make them out to be. Napoli, when they had them in the group, was it last year they had them in the group? They handled them very well. And Napoli's obviously is a competitive team. And Atalanta now is on fire. They're in perfect form. So I think hopefully they keep up with this until, when's their game? In August? Is the first Champions League draw in August?
I think it's August.
The date 12th, escapes me, but it's
an actual date.
Mid-August, I believe, but the exact date escapes me.
They play August 12th.
August 12th. There it is.
It's going to be interesting for sure.
So,
2 coaches that started with their teams this year, Maurizio Sarri and Antonio Conte. Seems like they're both on the hot seat already. First season with their clubs. 2 former Chelsea managers. Inter haven't been doing so well. They beat Toro the other day. It was a bad start, good second half. But apparently, Conte's not happy. He wants other players. And then, on the other end, there's Sarri for Juve. They obviously drew 3-3 today against a really good Sassuolo team. And, me on Juve Twitter, a bunch of people that have never been told no in their lives. I saw Juve Twitter is like the most toxic Twitter fan base out there, because, last year it was Allegri out because they didn't like how he was playing defensively after a 1-0, 2-0 lead. And this year it's Sarri out because... they've drawn a couple of matches. It's winning has gotten to too many fans' heads, and it's stupid. I think it's stupid to say Sarri out in his first season with this whole situation, playing every few games with no depth with the donkeys that they have, a.k.a. Danilo, a.k.a. Rugani. Milan was so lucky that Rugani played last week. And then, you got all these people, Sadi out, as we talked about on this podcast, who's going to come in and replace him. Some people are just, they don't see, I tweeted, they're like Zamparini from Palermo. Remember this guy, they would lose, he would have a coach lose 2 games and fire them. That's how some people want to be. But Conte, I'm going to ask you guys, do you think Conte deserves his job next season?
Johnny, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be pretty stupid that after one season they just like drop him, especially that they just went all in this year, and it'd be redundant to just quit on it immediately, because then how do you justify spending all that money? How do you justify building up all that hype for the team? You want some form of a payoff. Now, I know that a lot of teams are like, yeah, but not a lot of teams, a lot of fans, but we have a history of being good. I get that, but sometimes your franchise is going to go through ups and downs, and if you're going to be on a down right now, it's going to take some time before you get back up. So I honestly don't think it's something that Inter should do and get rid of Conte.
Yeah, I would probably agree with Gianni. I think they invest a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears. Putting I don't know if they put all their eggs in one basket with Conte, but they invested a lot of time into getting him in, getting the players that supposedly he wanted, and that were Inter quality. Even though he doesn't like to admit it sometimes, but they are good players, and they brought in a lot of players. So to totally have like a facelift at Inter, and seeing that they are solely on the up. And listen, guys, Conte and Inter, they're still in Champions League spots. I don't think that is I don't know if they're probably gonna make it, but if they finish anywhere from 1 to 4, they're in Champions League, right? So I think it's still maybe fans want to nitpick at certain things that haven't been going well or need to improve, which every fan base does, but I still think Inter they're at a good place, and I'm saying this as a Milan fan, so it's a high praise. It's a high praise for Inter, and I think, like Gianni said, it would be a shame for them to throw it all away after one season, after what Conte has done, and bring them back to Champions League. So
let's do our MVPs and cards. Start with the positives or start with the negatives?
It's up to you guys. What do you think? Cards?
Let's do cards first. Let's do cards first.
Okay.
Which card
are we doing first?
We'll give our individual cards, and then we'll give our collective, our VAR card, let's call it.
Okay, go for it, Nick.
So I'm going to give my red card of the week to, there was a video online of staff member of Atalanta who called a Napoli fan a terrone, which is an insult, a derogatory term for someone from the south. There's a video of this Napoli fan going up to Gasperini saying, "Oh, he's going to take it on Juve like he's always been doing for the past 10 seasons." And then there's another video from a different angle of someone coming to the defense of Gasperini, insulting this guy. I'm not going to sit here and say what the Napoli fan said to Gasperini was right or wrong, but you don't have to use a racial slur like that, especially considering all that's been happening in the world. All that the city has been doing. This is racism within your own country. Southern people have faced a lot of discrimination against people from the north throughout Italy's history since the unification back in 1861. So it's completely unacceptable, and I hope that Atalanta deal with it internally. I hope that the city has spoke to him, and racism worldwide, racism within Italy really has to go. So red card for him.
Going to go to the pocket and get out the red. So red card.
You guys?
Johnny, you want to take it away?
I mean, it's not really a hard red, but
let's call it a second yellow. Let's call it a second yellow.
Mommy, Johnny's on the floor.
Okay, hold on. Is it fixed now? Let me get it on the stand. Okay, we're good.
There you go. Beautiful.
Oh man, welcome to Problems with the Podcast with the Calcio Guys.
Yeah, there you go.
In all seriousness, I mean, it's not really a big red, but if I have to give a red, I guess I'll give it to Bologna for giving up a 2-goal lead, especially that, they're trying to survive right now. And you had, what was it, versus Parma they gave it up, if I'm not mistaken?
Bobby English scored.
Yeah.
Bobby. After he came back, after God knows how long, he came back to score a goal, so that was big.
Yeah, so like it wasn't terrible for them in the long run, but you're giving your positioning in the league. But at the end of the day, they're not in danger for relegation, so I'll just give them a red for the sake of giving them a red.
It's a second yellow, it looks like.
I gave it a second yellow because you said it was a soft red.
Thank you.
Not direct red.
More of an orange, but yeah. So for me, again, nothing too major. I'll go back to that game, or not even just that game, just the run of form. We spoke to Connor Clancy, Forza Italian Football, a couple weeks ago, talking about Parma, and they were not super hot, they weren't super cold. They were right in the mix of things. Maybe pushing for Europe was in the cards, and now I don't know. Their form has been terrible, and I think in that game against Bologna, yes, they came back to tie the game, but that was in like the last 5 minutes of extra time. So and then again they tied again, and then lost to Milan today, and just I don't know, their run of form hasn't been great, and this is a team again like Bologna kind of going a bit down the standings, and maybe that's kind of where they are supposed to be anyways, but maybe they were a bit too hot earlier on in the season. But for me this week, small yellow card just for Parma's run of form.
It's a late challenge, surely maybe the first yellow of the match.
And then we're gonna give a collective yellow
the big
card.
kicker here.
The VAR
red card. Never mind, yellow card, red card.
Red card. There was a guy on CBS Sports, I forget his name, but he was wearing an ugly-ass orange suit. And that wasn't even the worst thing in the video, because he said, I have to say this with a straight face, he said Atalanta has been struggling lately since the restart.
Yo, this guy, I don't know, man.
They haven't lost a game since the restart.
What's this guy thinking? I don't know. Oh, my God. I think when that clip came out on Twitter, I think Calcio Twitter just exploded. People were going bananas. Talking about Atalanta's been struggling, Leipzig maybe the better team. Oh yeah, maybe they'll get past it. This and that. Fuck that. I'm saying it. Fuck that.
What's funny?
Crazy.
What's funny? I'm happy you brought that up, because it wasn't just Atalanta Twitter. It was literally all of Calcio Twitter. Every fan of every team came out to defend Atalanta. And you know what? I love the fact that our community constantly craps on each other because of the teams that we support. But the moment it's like, we could crap on each other, but if an outsider tries to crap on us, no, we don't take any
together. We come together and we go like this.
It's like only I can make fun of my little brother. You can't.
Exactly.
So that's a red card from here to the Calcio Guys.
Another red card is shown.
So MVP. So I'm gonna give my MVP to the one and only Ciccio Caputo, who scored today against Juve and scored against Lazio. He's just been amazing this season. 17 goals on the year now. He sets the Sassuolo record for most Serie A goals in a season. And you know what? I tweeted on, after his goal against Lazio, this guy deserves a serious shot in the national team. He is the second leading Italian scorer in the league right now, behind Immobile. He's tied with Muriel and Joao Pedro for 4th overall. And he's only scored on 1 penalty this season. So he has 16 goals from open play. That's Immobile, by the way, has 18 goals from open play, and Ronaldo 17 goals from open play. So I know Caputo's getting up there in age. He's 33, but he really deserves a shot in the national team. And I'm happy to see him. He's a real rags to riches success story. Pretty much the Jamie Vardy of Italy. You guys MVP?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great shout, Nick. I'm glad you said that, and I'm glad you brought up the Azzurri call up. I know there was conversation about that on Twitter and whatnot, and why not? Why not? They brought in Quagliarella, last time around, and obviously, it wasn't for a tournament or nothing, but if Caputo can be there, he's the hot. When you go into tournaments, you bring who's hot, right? Sometimes, and Caputo definitely is hot. Like Nick said, all the stats, and no, I'm glad you brought that up. But for me, MVP of the week, there was many names I wanted to kind of shout out, but first and foremost, Frank the Tank Kessie for me, fantastic couple of games that he's had. Just even in the restart, he's been top notch. He's gotten some MVP of the match, nods. For me this week, he's getting an MVP. His goal today, absolutely a stunner. From long range off the post, Seppi didn't even move, and he's just been dominating the midfield like we know he can. And Milan Twitter, just fans, I think are finally happy that they're getting the old Frank the Tank back, and I hope for this to continue, and I hope he stays with us too. So again, this week for me, Kessie, but other nods for me, Cutrone, Chiesa been doing really well. I wanted to give the nod to Raspadori from Sassuolo, also another Sassuolo guy. He got his first goal, in his first Serie A goal.
First two.
In his first two, yeah, it's true, first two. First time, first start, first goal for him, and a beautiful moment for him. 20 years old, coming from the youth of Sassuolo to get his first Serie A goal. It's a humbling experience. So for me, I got a flurry of MVPs, but if I had to pick one specifically, Frank the Tank Kessie.
Johnny?
I'm going to go with Pasalic for getting his hat trick yesterday. Yes, it was against Brescia, fine. It's not as if it was against a super impressive team, but nonetheless, a hat trick should be celebrated. It's not something that is common occurrences in Serie A.
For a midfielder too, on top of it.
Exactly. So for him, it was his day yesterday. Enjoy it. Honestly, it's something that it's just exciting. And Atalanta right now are just having a great time, and he's taking full advantage of it. So he gets my MVP of the week.
So coming up, we're going to have Shawn McIntosh talk about Lazio and their recent struggles next on the Calcio Guys. Welcome back to the Calcio Guys. We have Shawn McIntosh joining us now, all the way from Las Vegas, our second guest from Vegas this year. Shawn, how's it going?
Ciao ragazzi, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And so the song you just heard was No Pain, No Gain by the Kyoto Connection. That's pretty much been the motto of Lazio season. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of the Lazio season, what we do with all of our guests, I want to ask you first, how did you become a Lazio fan?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Italy. My mom is from Gaeta in the Lazio region. So all of my family is over there. I spent most of my life moving around between, spent 7 years in Sicily, spent 4 years in Napoli, spent a couple years in Sardinia, before permanently moving to the U.S. when I graduated high school. But my family's all in an hour and a half outside of Rome in Gaeta. So, growing up, I didn't really have too much of a choice. I never made a decision. It was kind of like I was always a Lazio fan. So been supporting the club, from birth, essentially.
That's awesome. Where in Sicily did you live?
So I was in Catania for 7 years, actually where I graduated high school. So,
nice.
I'll support my club's always Lazio, but definitely have a soft spot for Catania. Especially during their Serie A times. It's a little bit tough times for them right now, but definitely have a soft spot for them.
It's awesome.
No, it's beautiful. We love those. We love those stories. It's something. When people it comes to them, so pure and natural. The sport of calcio to get into it and stuff. And honestly, we love. That's why we ask these questions, because we love to hear everybody's story and try to share it. So, honestly, that's a fantastic story. So, quickly moving on. I mean, obviously, Lazio this season, up and down, roller coaster year. Maybe the break didn't do them, too well. Maybe it kind of hit them at a bad time because they were on hot form. What do you make of how their season has gone so far? In terms of the ups, the downs, and everything in between.
Yeah, well, it's funny you said the intro song was "No Pain, No Gain."
Yeah.
It seems like it's all pain and no gain right now for us. So, it's been a tale of two halves. The thing that's plagued Lazio for the past few seasons has been inconsistency, and I think that was their greatest strength for 75% of this season. And it was just a run that I could not have even dreamed of. Going into this season, it was always Champions League or bust as our goal, our objective. But when we were on that run of 21 matches unbeaten, I believed in my heart, and I'm probably err more on the side of being a little bit cynical sometimes with Lazio, but there was something magical happening. There were a ton of parallels to our last Scudetto victory in 2000. It was like all the stars were aligning between, the last time we won was the year 2000. In 2020, 20 years later, exactly 20 years in the year 2020, we brought back La Maglia that we wore in 2000. We looked just absolutely incredible, beating Juventus twice. Everything was reminiscent of what happened in 2000. And I believed prior to this break that Lazio were really going to win. And I think Juventus was there for the taking this year. I think it's a squad, at least for Juventus squads of the past 8 years, that was there for the taking. And so I thought we were going to do it. The schedule aligned really well for us, too, in terms of how many matches we were going to play over the course of the remaining season. So it was pure joy. It was absolute bliss. Then, as we all know, COVID hits. We go into quarantine. I was nervous. What's funny is that Lazio were one of the clubs really pushing a comeback, and they had the most to lose from this. They could have very simply ended the season, had their qualification, been very happy with the second place finish. But now we see, I was really nervous knowing our squad depth, knowing that we had some injuries as well, knowing that they were going to talk about playing every 3 games. Those things didn't line up. And now we're seeing that. And it's been pretty disheartening because I'm sure we'll get into it. There's a lot of reasons why Lazio is struggling. But the biggest thing is that we're just seeing them struggle more than anybody else. And that's what's frustrating. I expect a loss against Milan without, Caicedo and Immobile. I went into that expecting a loss. But when you lose to Lecce, when you fail to beat Udinese, those are the things that's been really, really frustrating, and more frustrating because I saw what Lazio was capable of, and we are so far from that that you can't help but be disappointed. So even if we meet our objective, which, we should, but who knows, we should finish in that top 4, but at this rate, it's not a given. It feels, instead of feeling like a major celebration, it feels like a little bit of a letdown.
It's funny, you mentioned all the hype in the season. Adreano and I, we were at the game against Juventus. Obviously,
December.
Me being the Juve fan, obviously I was disappointed in the loss, but I think I had to look and, take it all in. Just incredible.
Sean, I was celebrating. Celebrating those goals.
Fake Milan fan over here.
Yeah, this guy.
The Serie A game.
The Serie A game. The 3-1.
That was our first ever Serie A game that we went to, and it was a crazy game. But it
was.
But yeah, how much of the blame for the recent struggles do you put on Inzaghi in terms of squad rotation and tactics?
I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around. Absolutely, between the players have to hold themselves accountable. At the end of the day, they don't look fit, which again, most clubs don't look fit, but we're walking in matches. There's something that we didn't do during quarantine. certainly I place some blame. And look, I know a lot of Laziali right now don't want to call it out. I believe in supporting your club through thick and thin, absolutely. But I also think it's important to call it out when you see something that you don't agree with. And I do believe that Simone is leaning too heavily on the same squad. He's proven and shown that he's a guy that trusts his 11 essentially, and you won't see him very often stray away from that. And unfortunately, I don't know if his mindset is just trying to play them as frequently as possible in the hopes of gaining some type of a rhythm. But, that's not going to work in the landscape that is today's calcio. We play every 3 days, and you've got to rotate. We see Sassuolo seeing a ton of success, and they're rotating between 7 and 9 guys each match. And, we talk about Lazio not having squad depth, which it is an issue. But when you look at clubs like Sassuolo, we have more depth than them, and they're getting it done. So, I don't see the reasons or the excuses for not playing some of our guys. And what's frustrating is we've got guys like Bobby Adekanye. He's a Liverpool youth product, has come in. Laziale, we're pretty excited about the prospects. Young kid, we haven't seen too much from him. But every time he's come in, he's been a spark, and he's created chances. And even in today's match, he was the one who had the best chance of the match. And, you want to see him play a little bit more. And when guys like Felipe Caicedo just don't look like they're running or they're fit, it boggles my mind why we don't see that rotation. So, yeah, I definitely put some of the blame on I would say most of the blame probably on lack of rotation, but certainly the players got to do a little bit more as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Shawn. I think, it's tough. I think you nailed it on the head. Obviously every team was going to be rusty coming back from this break. Obviously, a sudden pause in the season. Obviously, okay, they are professional athletes, but at the same time, you put in a halt on everything and expecting them to be back to where they were. It's a bit of a tough ask, but. Like you said, Inzaghi kind of being maybe a bit testadura, I don't know, with his lineups and depending on the players, a bit too much. How many players or what type of players would you go after to strengthen the squad, especially if they are going to be continuing to play in Champions League getting into Champions League next season? Do they go for all spread it all around, or where do you see fit for new players coming in?
Yeah, so first and foremost, you got to keep your top players, and in order to become one of the consistent big clubs in Serie A and ultimately in the world, is you've got to prove that you can retain your talent. And so I think first and foremost, it's keeping your Sergei Milinkovic-Savic's. Ciro Immobile, lots of clubs are trying to pick him off. I think he's made a commitment to the club, so long as he's not getting any more threats from fans. Yeah. I think he's very, very happy where he's at. But then you got to keep your Luis Alberto. He's proven that he's happy. He's playing really well in our system. And then guys like Correa. So we keep our core. I think we're going to be in a really good position to build off of that. I think. Prior to quarantine, I think Lazio had the strongest starting 11. I really believe that our starting 11 was, if not the best, I thought it toe-to-toe with anybody else. So now we've got to build on that. I do think there is a weakness at our center back position, which is shown now post-quarantine. Today was the first match since we've been back that we kept a clean sheet. So I think that was important for some of our confidence. But I think we've got to reinforce the center back position. There's been a lot of links to Kumbula from Hellas Verona. I want to see that deal get done. I think he's the perfect type of player. He's young. He's 20 years old. He plays in a 3-back system. He plays on that left side, which for us, Radu's getting up there in age. He's not going to be that starter. He's certainly not going to be able to play on 3 competition front next season. So having somebody like Kumbula, you pair him with Acerbi in the middle and Felipe Luis, I think we've got a really strong back 3 with that lineup. And then for me, the next priority, maybe 1A, 1B, is going to be that left wing back position. I think absolutely critical for the way that Lazio plays. It's critical. But Senan Lulic has held down that position for years and years. I think next season he's going to be 35. he's no longer that capable starting player that's going to play every match. And that's even if we see him come back, because, he's facing surgery. We don't know how he'll return from that. We don't know if he wants to continue playing. Lazio's made a ton of efforts to try and fill that position over the past few years with the likes of Gianni, Durmisi, Lukaku. A few years ago, we had Kishna, which tried out in that left wing back position, all of which have failed. So Lazio's made those attempts. It's certainly a tough position to try and find an elite player, especially at our budget. But that's one that absolutely it's got to be top of the list. Lazio's definitely, again, because we'll be playing in Champions League, we rely way too much on Ciro Immobile. There's no way that he's going to be able to play in Champions League. He's going to be able to play in Coppa Italia and Serie A. So I think it's been a necessity of ours to find that Vice Immobile, somebody off the bench. Somebody like Caicedo just doesn't fit the bill. Very different type of a player. Slots in nicely with Ciro Immobile, but as a replacement, he's not the guy. So we've seen links to guys like Olivier Giroud, which would be a nice fit off the bench, a nice player to be able to play in competitions in place of Ciro. So I think those are probably our necessities. If we don't fill those positions, I would look at our transfer window as a failure. And then, to give us an A plus, some depth in the midfield. We've seen some injuries. Lucas Leiva has held down his position, but he's getting into his 30s, and we've seen a little bit more injuries from him. Marco Parolo, nice depth, not a guy that's going to play a ton in terms of your starting 11. So I think we need to fill a couple more role players in midfield. That would be a luxury. Those other three positions are an absolute must.
That was actually one of the questions we got on Twitter from the Me Hanimal. He said, "What should the Lazio's objective be in the transfer window?" So you pretty much answered that. But another question we got on Instagram from Joseph, our friend Joseph from Calcio Fan Blogs. This one's a unique one. He says, "Do you think Acerbi is more important to Lazio than Immobile?"
Well, that's a good question. They're both. I mean, they both make up the spine of Lazio's starting 11, right? Like it's hard because then you got a guy like Luis Alberto, and I think that Ciro is the most important player. If I'm forced to choose between the two, I won't take the cop out and say both are equal. I'll say Ciro's the most important one, and I think when he's on, Lazio's a different team. And when he's finishing his chances. He gets a lot of crap, certainly from Azzurri fans that aren't Laziali. But one thing about Ciro is he is an engine. I mean, he runs, and he's a guy that will play multiple positions. Like he'll drop back, he'll fight to win the ball. A lot of times it acts as an issue for him because he's helping out so much that when we're on a quick counter, especially now when we've got tired legs. He's not in a scoring position right now. So when he's on, I mean, he makes us a very deadly team. I try to be, again, as important as I think he is. I would go with Immobile.
Yeah, two warriors, if I can say it, Roman gladiators, if I can say it, if I can say it.
And that's all you want as a fan. You just want to see guys that give it their all, that
fight for the shirt,
for La Maglia. So both of those guys exhibit that.
Exactly. I was just about to say you nailed it on the head once again, Sean. I think obviously two important pieces right now for Lazio and hopefully for the future. But still talking about the now. Obviously the Capocannoniere race has gotten a bit closer, a bit tighter. Obviously Immobile was kind of running the show from the get-go. Obviously now it's only a 1-goal gap between him and Ronaldo. I don't know if that's very important to you if Ciro does win it, but how do you think that plays out to finish the season? Who finishes on top?
Yeah, look, I do think it's important. Again, this fairy tale season that we were having, not only were we most important is the victories, the points, securing Champions League, certainly a Scudetto race, but this cherry on top was what Ciro Immobile was accomplishing. He's my favorite player because of all the things we said. Like I love his passion. I grew up playing the striker position, and I love the way that he plays it. And so seeing and knowing as an Azzurri fan, knowing the crap that he gets, whether you think it's justified or not, the crap that he gets, and I think that he probably shoulders unfairly a lot of the blame for the Azzurri's failures to qualify for that last World Cup. When it was the collective that really failed. I think Tito gets a lot of that blame. And as a striker, you're only as good as everybody else delivering you the ball. And so seeing him have the type of season that he was having this year, just absolutely incredible. He's one of a few players to have multiple 20-goal seasons. And what he was going to do this year, obviously threatening to break Higuain's record, I mean, absolutely important. And now we're having this conversation of even just retaining the Capocannoniere, which we thought was over. So on top of that, I'm not the biggest Ronaldo fan. So, besides losing out on the Capocannoniere, but losing it out to Ronaldo, it would hurt for sure, especially because right now there's not a lot of positive things happening with Lazio. But at the very least, I could have leaned on a Capocannoniere, a scoring record, and now it'll be a punch right to the heart if he doesn't get that.
So what's your number? How many goals does he finish with?
Boy, he's at 29. Ronaldo's at 28. I'll say he finishes it at 33. I think he'll go on up.
Gets 34.
And Ronaldo, I think I'll say Ronaldo finishes at 30. So if Cheeto's at 33, I think it'll be 32.
Oh, there you go.
So we wanted to ask you, Shawn. So you and your wife are expecting a baby son.
Baby boy.
And you took, it was on Twitter about what you should name your son. And I suggested a couple of Lazio-related, Scudetto-related names. And I've heard you've decided, or at least you're trying to convince your wife on a certain name.
Yeah, so, Cheeto's my favorite player. Unfortunately, the wife said no to Cheeto. But
straight off, wow.
I think I've got her on Leone for Acerbi. Now, I'm going to need the Calcio community, the Laziale help. If I can get Acerbi to regalarmi his Lazio, his jersey stagnato, if I can get it signed, then the wife's agreed to let us name our first son Leone for Acerbi.
Wow. So you heard it here first on the Calcio Guys. You got to get, I don't know if Acerbi's listening. I don't know if he is, but if he does, you got to get Shawn that jersey and maybe something for us too.
We got another question on Twitter from Furkan Al-Paslan. He says, what should Lazio's targets be for next season? Would it be realistic to say that they'll fight for the Scudetto?
Yeah, so we talked about the targets. Most certainly, I think going into next season, especially, I mean, you look at what Inter's done very early in this transfer market. I think between them, certainly Juve is going to make some moves. I think those are going to be the two favorites going into next year. But I absolutely believe that we can be in the mix in a Scudetto race, but we've got to make those transfer targets. And we got to get a Kumbula or a strong starting center back. Again, that left wing back, absolute necessity. If we can get some help for Cheetah, I think we'll be in a position, especially if we retain our talent, to compete for a Scudetto. But again, it's the stars have to align. And this year they did for a good portion. Who knows if they're going to next year? But I would say I'd expect them to put some pressure on Inter and Juve.
Yeah, it would be exciting, and we thought this year was going to be the year, but I think COVID and just like you said, the stars in line, and they had other plans. But stepping just quickly away from Calcio, from football, for a bit of a funny question that arose on our social media. I mean, I didn't really check if this person was a bot, were they real? I have no idea. But Ariadade.fanpage4 asks, who is your celebrity crush? Just curious. We might have to block this out for the wife, Shawn. I don't know, but celebrity crush, maybe growing up.
Let's go with Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, the actress that plays Wonder Woman.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Serie A crush?
Beautiful.
Serie A crush. Like a player that I grew up admiring?
Anything.
His wife, an announcer, whoever.
Anything.
Oh, man.
We're having fun with this one.
Yeah, I don't have one. So
Okay, Shawn, you can say Diletto Leota. It's okay.
let's go with Diletto then.
Yeah, I think as a community here, the three of us will go, and Gianni, we'll go Diletto. We'll go Diletto for everybody.
Oh, my mic was off. I said, Adrian, who was your celebrity crush growing up?
You know what? I didn't. I only saw this question now. This is a stumper. I couldn't even tell you. I mean, I don't know, like the Jessica Albas back in the day. I don't know, Jennifer Lopez. Was fine. I mean, she's still doing it. Jennifer Aniston, all the Jennifer. Like, I don't know. It seemed to be all the Jennifers that were rocking it. And they're still rocking it. They're still looking good. Megan Fox is back in the day. Used to be the girl. Oh my God, Megan Fox. Her eye, everything was beautiful. So I mean, I don't know. There's so many beautiful women out there, and it's hard to pinpoint one. But I guess the names that I just named, and Diletta Leota now. I mean, she's fine. So if you her too, if she's listening, if you want to get onto the Calcio Guys podcast, we'll have you all on the show, open arms and no problem.
I wish we could watch the Zone Italia here in Canada sometimes.
My God. Nick.
My celebrity crush was definitely Selena Gomez in Wizards of Waverly Place. That was when I was kid, early teens, Yeah, at that age. I definitely watched the show for her. Yeah. Shawn, we got another question. What? Yeah, well, that's okay. We gotta have fun with this sometimes. We got off the map there. Yeah. Shawn, another question. From really rad on Instagram. Why do some people call you Shawn again?
Oh, that's just that's a stupid question. He and I worked together back in Phoenix. So when I would have to call people and return call, I'd be like, "Hey, this is Shawn again," and he would call me Shawn again.
Oh my God! It's those little things in life, I guess. But Shawn, we do see now that we got this video set up. I don't know how great it's going to be or how great it's going to turn out, but we do see you wearing a beautiful Lazio jersey. If you can tell us maybe where you got it, what year is that from? Because I personally don't know, and what it means to you.
Yeah, so I've got quite a collection of Lazio kits, just soccer memorabilia kits. I actually did early in quarantine. I did like a new Calcio item in my collection that I shared on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that.
So this is one of my older ones. I want to say this one was 90. Goodness gracious, I want to say it's 1994. Okay. I didn't get this in 94. I got this a while ago. I want to say I can't even remember, but I've got quite a collection. This is one of my favorite ones just because it's when we were with Umbro. Just got that classic Umbro 90s look. But yeah, I collect kits. I've got quite a few. I've got some kits that Laziale would kill me for in terms of just, different clubs. So, I just, I'll typically only wear my favorite Lazio kits. But, I've got AC Milan. I've got a Juventus. I've got a Pirlo Juventus kit. As well. So, try to find autographed items as well. And so I've been fortunate enough to, meet Pirlo and get, items autographed from him. But, having worked in soccer and Major League Soccer too, Giovinco, memorabilia too. So.
Do you have a Roma kit?
I do have a Roma kit.
Wow. Yeah. Breaking news.
Of course, I don't wear it. It was actually gifted to me. I got a Roma kit gifted to me from a good friend of mine in high school that was a Roma fan, and I think he was being a smart ass, but it's something that I've always kept, in the closet. That he gifted it to me. It reminds me of him, and I'll keep all the kits. So
So funny.
Beautiful. That's a funny story. Beautiful. I mean, I don't know, collecting jerseys or just collecting stuff like soccer related. It seems to be like so many people's passions, and it's great to see, how big people's, collections do get. But just quickly before we let you go, Sean, obviously, Euro 2020 was supposed to be, this summer. We were supposed to be in the swing of things now, and obviously, with this whole COVID, it got pushed back to next year. But what are your thoughts? Your quick thoughts about maybe the Azzurri's form? What do you think about them in the tournament next summer? I mean, Immobile up top, is he still the guy? Any thoughts you have about the Azzurri?
Would you put Chicho Caputo in the team? That's my part of the question.
That's another add-on. Yeah,
well,
another add-on.
Changed now, so there's
exactly.
guys that I think the biggest disappointment. There's a couple. First, I think the Azzurri were playing beautiful calcio. I mean, they looked not the Azzurri of old, because we know that we were never known for our free-flowing football. We were never known for scoring. But I think Mancini got us to a place where, results aside, like, we could be proud of the way that we were playing. Nice mixture of veteran players, young players that we were starting to see, your Zaniolos that were coming in, your Tonalis that were looking really good. But, for me personally, a major disappointment, because you have guys like Acerbi, who has fought his entire career really for an opportunity like this. And he started cracking the starting 11. And I think he was proving to be I already believe he's one of the best center backs, but for him to be one of the best center backs and starting and earning that position for the Azzurri, unbelievable. And now another year older, another year is going to go by where he has to fight for that position again. Is he going to be able to do it? I don't know. A guy like Immobile, again, I think, what he was doing, there's no way that Mancini could look the other way. I think come Euros, I think he would have been the starting striker, at least in the first match or so, depending on how he performed, whether or not they slot in Belotti or give somebody else, or Kevin Lasagna. It was his position to lose. But now, again, he's got to fight for another season, another year that goes by. Will he be able to keep that form and hold off some of these younger players? I don't know. So it's really a disappointment, because as much as I love the Azzurri, there was just extra motivation for us to win, and to see Cheeto do it in the face of all his haters was something that I was looking forward to. So
on his home
I
pitch,
hope he gets that opportunity. I think that we were playing incredibly. I think we had clubs like Germany that didn't look great, and so that's not going to be the case for very long. So, hopefully it's not a missed opportunity, but it does give new opportunities for guys like Caputo. Zaniolo was injured, so obviously somebody like him gets to round into form, certainly gets to be a part of it, hopefully. So, yeah, we'll see. But definitely an absolute disappointment to not get to enjoy that competition now.
Yeah. No, I mean, we go crazy come national team, tournaments over here in Montreal, and I from what you're saying, I can see it, same thing in Las Vegas. So,
well, guys, I'm curious, just because, for me growing up, the Azzurri was an opportunity, and I love my club football, but the Azzurri was, for me at least, an opportunity to kind of just disregard any hatred that I had for players. Look, when Totti was playing for the Azzurri, I was rooting for Totti, and he had some brilliant moments, some of my favorite moments. He also had some really poor moments. But as two fans, Milan and Juve, how do you guys treat the Azzurri? Do you kind of wipe it clean, and the Azzurri is the Azzurri, or do you guys have those hatreds? For some of your, especially at least for you as a Milan fan, the Azzurri has been stockpiled with Juve players recently. So
no, I mean, listen, growing up, us, before getting really into the club scene and stuff, the Azzurri was kind of what we kind of grew up watching per se. Obviously, 2006, we said it time and time again on this podcast, we'll say it for you now, but those were, the best moments of our lives, and, really got to see, get attached to the players of that tournament. In particular, at that point, there were, some Milan players in that lineup and in that, roster as a whole. And I mean, listen, we get really excited when come national team, and I don't care if it's a qualifier for Nations League, if it's the World Cup, if it's the Euros. Me personally, and I think Nick can vouch for me as well. We don't care. We love to watch it, and La Nazionale definitely comes first. Well, first amongst everything else, but you always love your club, but when you represent your nation. We come from Italian descent, so it's a pride thing, and I think we love to show it. No matter what time of year, no matter when it is, we're always rooting for the Azzurri.
As a Juve fan, I like watching the Italian national team because I know when they get a penalty, I'm not gonna have to go on Twitter and argue with someone about it after. And it's also,
I think we can all agree.
Yeah, and it's also the only time Adreano and I actually support the same team, because between soccer, football, hockey. We all support different teams. So when Juve plays Milan, sometimes I won't talk to them for a bit or whatever. At least with the Azzurri, we could stay, we could cheer together. So it's fun,
Exactly. We get really passionate. Back in 2006, from watching almost all the games together, the knockout games, and even now, obviously, we got older, lives have changed, things have gotten, you're grown up now, right? So you can't always make it to watch the game, but we always text or call or whatnot. And if we can get together, we do get together. So yeah, the passion, surrounding the Azzurri is definitely high for us over here. And I would hope for everybody, honestly, that are Calcio fans. But like you said, Sean, maybe a missed opportunity, but I do like that, it gives it another year for these younger players like the Tonalis, like the Castrovillis, maybe, the Zagnolos, like you mentioned, maybe Berardi, maybe he comes, into his own again, and Caputo, obviously we love Ciccio Caputo. So, there may be some negatives, but I think there are some positives in that conversation as well. And I mean, you will always be able to debate it, but I do think, we like their chances going on next year. So, but yeah, Sean, honestly, from the three of us, Gianni couldn't make it for this segment, but we all honestly like to take the time to thank you so very much to come on tonight or this afternoon, maybe. Or what time is it over there for you right now?
For us, afternoon for you.
Afternoon for you, sorry. So yeah, but no, honestly, we definitely do appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. Before we do let you go officially, where can all our wonderful listeners and followers find you on social media?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Shawn, SHAWN _ McIntosh, MCINTOSH. And then you can also follow our Las Vegas Laziale account at LV Laziale. Both of those on Twitter. You can give us a chat.
Beautiful. And for us, everybody, you know where to find us on social media at the Calcio Guys, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Catch the podcast on all your favorite podcasting platforms. And we'll be back next week to talk more Calcio.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano DiNardo, Gianni Dellacoli, and myself, Nicholas DiGiovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The outro song is The Last Ones by Jazar.